This really makes me just want to go to like a party and just like dance it out and, you know, dance with somebody. Oh, I want to dance with somebody. I think that was the 1980s. Hey, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Alex, and I love creating content that'll help you love life, perfect life, and beautify all things in your life. So today I'm back with another installment of the Decades Makeup series that I've been doing, and today we are going back to the 1980s. And I'm so excited because I feel like the 1980s was like a decade of just going all out. Growing up in the 1990s, my mom let us listen to the 1980s music a ton, and so I really just grew up liking that decade a whole lot. Don't forget, if you like this content and want to see more like it, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can also find me on Instagram at alyxxmarie. So without further ado, let's jump back into the 1980s. So of course we're going to get started with the eyes. I'm going for a very vibrant color on my eyes, and I'm going to be using some pinks and some purples, maybe even teal. We'll see where we go, but right now I'm just going to apply a base coat of the Root Loose Eyeshadow in the shade Paris. It's like a dusty pink, and I'm just going to apply that to the crease. I am bringing it all the way up kind of onto my brow bone because in the 80s they really had pretty much their whole eyelid covered in eyeshadow. Then I'm going to switch over to the Merlot Mineral Blush by Root also. It is a darker pink, and so I'm just going to dab a little bit of that and then sweep it on to where I first placed the Paris. This is just going to darken it up. And I'm really bringing it to the corner of my eyes because back then it was like their eyeshadow went into their blush almost. So come really, really far out. Then I'm going to use the shade Amethyst from Prisma palette. It is a purplish color, and I'm just going to put that on the upper lid and in the crease a little bit just to kind of blend it. It's so interesting to see the changes in makeup and cosmetics throughout the decades, but it's also interesting to see, you know, what has come back. Like, what have we seen come back in, you know, the early 2000s or in the 2010s and 2020s now. That was like, you know, from 60s, 70s, 80s, all of that. And I am a 1990s baby, and so it's really been aging me seeing what's coming back from the 90s. I mean, we're in 2021 and the 90s are coming back because that was 30 years ago now. So that is kind of depressing and really makes me feel old. Okay, so now we are going to go in with the Southwest. It's a teal color from Prisma palette, and we are just going to put that like in the inner corners of our eyes. Then we're going back in with the Amethyst purple color and blending that out into the corner. It was really like in the 1980s that they couldn't decide what colors to use, so they just used all of them, which you gotta do, I guess, right? I'm going in with the Merlot and just going to deepen that up. Then I'm taking the Root Black Beauty Loose Eyeshadow and Eyeliner, and I'm going to do kind of a smudged liner on the top and bottom. That seems to be really big back then. Not super smudged, but not as clean as today. Alright, so then we are going to do blush. I am going to use the Root Petal Blushing Bronze, and I'm just going to take that and put it basically all over my cheek. And you'll notice that I'm coming really far up onto my temple. That was like the cool thing to do, I guess, back then, is put blush basically on the side of your face. I think I'm going to take some of that Root Merlot that I used on my eyes, just because for my skin tone that is a better option. It's not too pastel, so we're just going to apply that over where we just applied Petal. And then we have a bright pink lipstick, so I'm just going to apply Root Lara gloss, and that is not bright at all, so I'm going to mix Paris and Merlot together and dab that onto my lips. Next I'm going to add mascara and then finish my eyebrows. What's so funny too is that I've gone to probably 3 or 4 parties in my adulthood that were 80s themed, and so I don't know, the 80s is just like where it's at. Back then in the 1980s, natural brows were more acceptable than, in the 20s or even in the early 2000s. Okay, so this is the final look for the 1980s. Of course, I had to make my hair really big. It's not even that big, but I have a scrunchie, and so that about sums it up, and plus my bangs are big. So I think that this is a pretty good rendition of the 1980s. You let me know. Alright, and that is it. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram. I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.